Hello. In celebration of the 15th anniversary of Multicultural Bridge, it is a pleasure to introduce to you Gwendolyn Van Zant, the CEO of Bridge.
Gwendolyn, welcome.
Hi.
Hi. Um, Bridge is an acronym. Can you tell me what that stands for?
Yes. Took us a long time to come up with that. It's Berkshire Resources for the Integration of Diverse Groups and Education.
And how did you come up with that? How did Bridge get started?
Yeah, so Marta Bordone is my co-founder, and she and I were working in the community through education and health and human services. And we had found needs in our immigrant community, needs that we both have had as single moms, and we wanted to have an organization that would bridge the gap, basically. So Bridge was our guiding star, and we wanted to really have people understand what that meant. So we spent a lot of time, a lot of playing around with words, but we really have stuck with the acronym because it really fits. We wanted to provide resources to people in the community while also providing education.
Mi nombre es Gabriela Cruz y he estado con Bridge por 15 años. Soy voluntaria y soy parte del comité. Um, Bridge es muy especial porque nos ha ayudado a empoderar, a desarrollar nuestras habilidades, a ser mejores personas. Nos ha educado para nosotros ser mejor con nuestras familias, ayudar más a nuestros hijos en la escuela, también en cuestión de salud. Y ella, no importa de dónde somos o quiénes somos, todos somos igual de importantes. For me, because I, Gwendolyn is my like a hero for me. I admire her, how she fight for everybody, how she works, how she professional is. She is with you anytime. She is very human and take care of you like a friend, not just a person, like a friend. That is so special. And they put attention, and when do you came to this organization, they are very special. They are very nice with you. We feel very comfortable coming to this organization and sure to. No me imagino a la comunidad sin Bridge porque este es un lugar muy especial, es donde yo empecé a conectarme con este país, con las reglas y la vida para poder introducirse. Y para mí es un espacio muy especial, donde yo me siento libre, donde yo me siento talentosa e importante y me ha ayudado a empoderarme y a seguir haciendo y trabajando por la comunidad. A catalyst for women is to way to free because uh, sometimes we don't know how important or how value we are, but when we start in Bridge, we discover we are very brave women.
Well, my particular founding story is that I had lived in the Berkshires as a black um, mom, and had been a single mom for a long time with neurodiverse children, and had been college graduated. I came up here to go to Simon's Rock, and I had received treatment that was less than favorable a lot. I was plugging along, thinking it was just my particular experience. And when I started working with the immigrant community, I saw some of those same experiences reflected back. I was a medical and mental health interpreter in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had some distance from the issues that had been affecting me, I was able to see that these were actually cultural and systemic issues. And so we wanted to create an organization that could support individuals in our community, whether they've been here for a long time or just arrived. And Marta Bordone, similarly, she's first generation Dutch immigrant. She married into the new Latino community, and was recently separated, but she also was a resource to community members that needed help. She worked through a couple human service agencies, so we had a lot of stories to share all the time. So that she and I got together and wanted to come up with a solution. So we were figuring out what we could do beyond what our particular occupations were at the time to support community. So that's what we came up with, starting the nonprofit Bridge.
Hello, my name is Sam Van Sant, and I've been a volunteer with Bridge since it began. I serve on the development committee, and I volunteer in a number of different ways, but I guess most importantly, I am Gwendolyn's husband. The motivation for Gwendolyn to start Bridge was really through a business that she started doing translation work and interpreting, and realized that there was a sort of a cross section of Berkshire County that were sort of underserved in terms of services that they had access to, and also their sort of ability to navigate different institutions within Berkshire County. And so she had this idea to start an organization that could really try to support people who are having trouble sort of integrating and becoming part of the community. Bridge's sort of multifaceted approach is what makes it most effective. In terms of sort of a foundation stone being the ability to create spaces that where people feel safe enough to sort of explore and discuss difficult topics, and share their ideas, and also sort of learn and celebrate all of the different people that we have within the community, while at the same time challenging a lot of the status quo understandings of the world, and working with institutions and government to sort of be a more progressive and welcoming place. I think that sort of tackling and creating this type of atmosphere has really made it so effective and made its mark on our community profound in the last 15 years. So within that first year, one of the initial programs was called the Multicultural Dinners, where people from different backgrounds would come and they would prepare a meal based on their sort of ethnic background or skill set. And then people would come and they would learn about that food, about the culture, they would hear stories. And that was always just an amazing thing to see people to sort of break bread together, and really have this exchange in a really open and honest way. And in that sort of first year, I think that I really felt like this was going to be something special, that what was being created here were spaces where people could really open up and feel safe to offer part of themselves to one another. Yeah, that would be probably top of my list for the first year.
There's so many moments. I mean, we had continued with our other jobs, so one of the first things that we did was provide a resource for people when they needed language access. We said, hey, call us, we can help you figure out how to really settle into our community. One way that we wanted to highlight the diversity of our community when we proposed this organization was by highlighting all of the different cultures. So we had, over 3 to 4 years, about 80 multicultural dinners. We highlighted every ethnic and racial community that we knew about. So we went with some of the older communities, Polish and Irish and Italian, but we also highlighted African American and several Latino and African cultures that were present in our community, so that people could see that there was a need for our community, that there were people here that were going unseen. And so that was educational, it was celebratory, it was fun, it was really a mode of fellowship and launching our organization.
So when I think about Bridge as a catalyst, I think about first Bridge lifting up voices that that haven't been heard, and then also making sure that folks actually take the time to address issues in a meaningful way. So one really clear example that I can speak to is some of the changes I've seen in our schools in Berkshire County. Over the last couple of years, we had a really disturbing problem with the rise in hateful speech, incidents of race-based bullying, and I saw Bridge really jump in at a time where there was not a lot of agreement about how to handle that in the community at large, and it felt like administrations weren't always taking the necessary steps to do that.
So, my name is Vanessa Legrand, and I got started with Bridge, first of all, by way of friendship with Gwendolyn and interest in what she does. During the time that I was working with Bridge, there was a call to Bridge for Gwendolyn and her teachers to come out to a school. There was a little boy, I think he was like 7, maybe, and he used the N-word, and he was very sharp with it. And it threw up some antennas, but they didn't know what to do with that, and they called Bridge. Gwendolyn also got Ty Jackson, who writes children's books. So we went up there this particular day. There was no doubt in our minds when we first went in which child it was, because he looked up at the screen and he saw Ty's. No, he didn't even see the picture first. He saw Ty and he started, that's him, that's him. And then, even though we thought that was the kid, we weren't sure. As it went on and they found out, I didn't know until later, that that was a little boy. The way that Gwendolyn and Ty talked to all of these children and let them know how loved they are, and as different as they are, there's so much the same in their feelings and how they can be hurt, and how we all have some differences, and we need to see those. And they explained it in kid ways, of course. This little boy, this same little boy who used that N-word, of course he got it from someplace older. When we left there, he hugged Ty. He hugged him. There's no way that this little boy didn't want to love this person who made him happy, and some of the things that he read and explained to him that he could do, whether he was a little white boy or a little black boy. And to me, that was the greatest example of love. That right there. If nothing else, that touched my heart. Of course, there are many other things, many others.
So Bridge actually, at one of their monthly racial justice meetings, the Towards Racial Justice South meetings, brought together the community to brainstorm questions that we could all take to school committees, and actually push the school committees to push them towards concrete action. Then we actually pulled together a campaign going around to different schools throughout the county to push school committees to take concrete actions to address those issues in the schools. And I really think that that had a deep and meaningful impact on improving the situation in our schools and making sure we had better experiences for students of color and other marginalized groups. Sure. Bridge's impact is huge. When I grew up in Berkshire County, I grew up here. I've lived here for most of my 30 years. And 30 years ago, this county was a really, really different place. It was much less diverse. And I would say it was, much more driven by a single culture. If you weren't part of the dominant culture, you were supposed to sort of stay back, be quiet, not make much of a fuss. And I think that Bridge has really succeeded in driving major change, major diversification in the county through all the different types of work that they do. And they have really driven a movement within Berkshire County where folks are looking at linguistic access, they're looking at cultural competency, they're looking at racial and immigrant justice. And as a result of that, we've built a community where many more folks feel welcome, they feel included, they have a chance to lift up their voice and actually have a say in how this community operates. And I think we're a much stronger and a better community because of that work.
I honestly hate to think of our community without Bridge. I think that Bridge adds so much to our community. Bridge is a convener. Bridge is an educator. Bridge is a catalyst for change. I think Bridge has done so much for me as a community member, and for me as a leader, to help me understand and see issues that are really important in our community. I think Bridge has helped me to understand what collective action looks like, how to engage in it effectively, how to keep going even when it gets hard. I think that has probably been one of the key lessons, is just learning that this work does get difficult at times, and you have to be committed to it in the long haul. You have to be committed to the process and not just to a particular outcome for a particular project. That it is really about the process of engaging with others, of talking with others, of listening to others, that allows you to come together as a community to make change.
I think the most important way to me that I see Bridge demonstrate love is actually through holding accountability and care. I always think back on this great quote from James Baldwin. He said, "I love America more than any other country in the world, and for that exact reason I insist on criticizing her constantly." And what he meant by that is that if we love somebody, if we love a community, we have to push it to confront its truths and to be better. And I think that Bridge has really led the charge on that kind of work in this county for 15 years now. But I think there's a really key piece about the way that Bridge does it, which is that Bridge does it with care. It's never punitive. It's not about canceling people. It's not about putting people down. It is about giving people the tools and the knowledge to do better, to be better, and to acknowledging that we're all on that journey together. We all have stuff to learn, and that this isn't about one-upping one another. It's about coming together and caring enough about each other to do the hard work to make this community a better place. And I think that that, to me, is the core of how Bridge holds and demonstrates love for our community.
Mutual aid is born out of the pandemic. We always, as I mentioned earlier at the dinners, have served food in our community, and we've provided food for our constituents when needed. We did it quietly within our programming. When the pandemic came around, we got lots of calls that people were concerned about their food access and food security. So Bridge created the mutual aid program, which in essence is people that need food and people that can provide food, or people that can help transport the food, all work together. So it's not a charitable structure, but it's a structure in which everybody is seen as equal and everyone gets what they need as far as their basic needs of food.
Al despertar, todos los días tengo en mente esta pregunta, porque mis hijos me dicen gracias por ser parte de esta familia Bridge. Ellos son felices porque ellos dicen, un día tú vas a ser como Gwendolyn, tú vas a tener también mucha gente que te quiere. Ellos todos los días son felices sabiendo que su mamá sale de casa para ayudar a la comunidad. Ese es mi impacto, porque en casa tengo el ejemplo que mis hijos están viendo que estamos haciendo algo bueno por la comunidad.
In March and April and May and June of 2020, Bridge jumped in to supporting its community with mutual aid work, bringing food, information, COVID masks, eventually COVID tests, directly to families in our community, in Bridges community, every other week, sometimes every week, all kinds of resources. It was a big volunteer effort, still is a big volunteer effort, bringing a lot of person hours, a lot of physical resources, driving, time, bringing all those things together. I was really impressed and really moved by the way Bridge brought its values into the work. Bridge always worked with community. Bridge always centered voices that don't always get the full attention that they need in our world. Bridge always acted out of love and out of care and out of community at every step of the way. We weren't always perfect, the volunteer community. We certainly didn't do everything right, but we learned a lot. We always tried to come back to our values. If we messed up, we tried to come back and repair. And as a result, Bridges Mutual Aid continues. It's a big community effort, bringing valuable resources. It's a key part of the Bridge community and a key part of the lives of more than 100 Bridge families that participate in the mutual aid distribution every other week. It's still going. It is, for me, a testament to the love for community and for each other that Bridge has built into its values at every level, and which Bridge brings to our community week after week after week, month after month, year after year, and now 15 years of Bridge bringing love to our community. I'm a small part of that, but I am a part, and I'm glad to be a volunteer and a community member with Bridge.
And that program has now grown into our Solidarity Economy, which I mentioned earlier, which is the Solidarity Farm and Garden, where people can grow their own food. People can grow their food to sell. They can grow their food for their families or their communities. So that's sort of the evolution of our mutual aid, is our solidarity projects that are based on solidarity economy. Rossiter Street. Rossiter Street, in my mind, is the last historically black street in Great Barrington. I've heard stories from elders about the vibrant black communities that were in southern Berkshire before I came. And Rossiter Street still represents that, with the AME Zion Church, which is now the Clinton Restoration Project at the end, and with the Macedonia Baptist Church.
When I first came in contact with Bridge was when Miss Gwendolyn came and visited our church, and we were in a really difficult position. We had come through some hard times, and Gwen, representing Bridge, came and offered support to us and just sat in our service. And I began to find out more and more about the agency and what they did. And they did exactly what their name is called. They bridged the gap between Macedonia and the community. Because we felt it, but we didn't know how to verbalize it. And so they gave us a voice, actually, just gave us a voice. Because, prime example, we were in the dark. And I use that metaphor lightly.
Okay.
Rossiter Street was in the dark. Our church was vandalized because we were in the dark. There were no lights on this street. Bridge helped Macedonia fight for. We've been here, the black community. We've been here a long time. And we've been in the dark. Nighttime, everybody else can see all up and down Great Barrington. But this street was dark. And so Bridge helped fight that, so that we have streetlights now. Our church is under a light now, so that you can't just come up and tag our church now. And when it was tagged and the hatred was put on there, it was Bridge. It was Bridge that went to bat with us. So.
In all of our racial justice work, we encourage people, no matter what community we're in, to align with the communities that you're advocating for. So our organization has been in sisterhood and partnership with Macedonia Baptist Church the entire time we've been operating. We do all sorts of Martin Luther King and Du Bois programming and other things together. I'm really passionate about that church standing forever, for eternity, and for that street to still hold the history of our African American history in southern Berkshire. So Roster Street is dear to my heart. A lot of friends live there, done a lot of celebrations there. The Mahu Pop-Up Salon, that's one of my heart projects as well. And many folks on our team we're really proud. In our southern Berkshire area, if you're an African American woman, we could not get our hair done in the town that we live in. And so people that have lived there much longer than I have, 45, 48 years, are really excited about this project because they can go get their hair done in a natural way in the town that they live in and grew up in and worship in.
Bridge is doing a great thing because I've been living in Great Barrington for, just like I said, 47 years, and we've never had a black hair salon here. We've always, for myself, I've traveled to Springfield to get my hair done because there's no one in Great Barrington that can do black hair. So I think with Bridge bringing it into this community, and not only that, making it affordable, because there's so many people that can't afford to pay $175 to $200 to get their hair done. But Bridge is making it affordable for all black people who need this service to get it done.
The salon is now run by Senegalese women that have been my friends and partners for a long time. And the salon isn't just about getting our hair done, it's about community, it's about healing, it's about fellowship. So while the salon is happening, while healing is happening, while a sense of belonging is being reinforced, we are also supporting community members with several needs that have come up, again, through the pandemic and other life challenges. So the Mahu Salon is a fun place to be. When I was little, we used to complain about sitting in a salon forever getting our hair done. Now we can't get people to go. We eat, we laugh, we cry, and we get our hair all done pretty. So I love the salon, and I'm really grateful to be able to do that project and have it being recognized as a public health initiative. The Happiness Toolbox, how many heart projects can I have? The Happiness Toolbox is another heart project. It's based on my training and JV's training in positive and holistic psychology. We had a children's program from the first year we started Bridge in the Housatonic School building, and when JV was in college and I decided to get a certificate in positive psych, we came together to revamp the program. And this program is about creating that sense of belonging and engagement for youth. It's about celebrating culture. It's about bringing our youth together that have experienced harm or isolation around their identity throughout the school year. And we educate, we celebrate. They're taking economics classes, architecture classes, culinary classes. They're doing art, they're doing boating, and every child that goes through the program has the opportunity to evolve to a leader in training, and then an actual youth leader, and then a staff member. So some of our staff, 2 of our staff on our team, have gone through our youth programming, which is really great because they really understand what Bridge is about. The program, it's provided so many opportunities I can't tell you. Our kids get scholarships in college around climate justice and around diversity leadership because they really learned the skills to be successful in those areas. Most importantly, they learn to be proud of who they are and to understand the concept of the unity within our community.
I think Bridge is really good at uniting people and really including youth within like all their meetings and programs, like a lot of organizations do, but there's not a lot of impact with the youth. It's more just like, oh, you can come and like watch, but you can't really do anything or take control in anything. But with like the Happiness Toolbox program, like that's a really, really good thing for the youth. Definitely, again, the Happiness Toolbox program, but as well the opportunities that I've gotten from it. I've connected with other organizations that have helped me through school as well, and the Women to Women program. I'm not as involved with it, but I've had the opportunity to like meet some of them and like translate a couple things, and just like really, I think it really impacts like the mothers to create like a safe space for them, because mothers are a very huge part of our lives and people that we really really depend on, and it's really good that Bridge focuses on their well-being. A really big change was the middle school name in Great Barrington. I think it used to be like Muddy Brook, like middle school or something like that, but they made it W.E.B. Du Bois, which I think is really, really impactful within the community because of just like of who he was and that he's acknowledged now. And like, I mean, of course people knew about him, but the fact that he has like a school named after him, it just really makes people realize like what he actually did and the ability that Bridge has, and especially like Gwendolyn to be able to go through all of that, because it's a very long process and a tedious process to make sure everyone's on board. And you know, there's a lot of like parents and like, you know, just like the community in general who's like, oh, we don't know. But it was really really awesome to see that whole process, and it actually turned into W.B. Du Bois, and it was really really amazing.
Bridge, in my mind, is a manifestation of what Dr. Du Bois would want us to be doing right now. So I was completely honored when the town of Great Barrington reached out to me and Randy Weinstein to run the 150th birthday anniversary for Dr. W.B. Du Bois. There had been other hurts and disruptions around Du Bois's legacy in Great Barrington and in the Berkshires, and there have been many people working on his legacy for a long time. So it was my turn to pick up the baton. So Randy and I got to work. We called all of the leaders and people that have worked with us and beside us, and we decided to do this 150th birthday celebration. And that was about 6 to 8 years ago. I began to develop a strong relationship with Jeff Peck, which is one of Du Bois's great-grandsons. And we got to work. So we celebrated Dr. Du Bois. We had scholars come in, and we've had scholars come in every year for the last 6 to 7 years. And we also had developed a couple campaigns that we wanted to work on. One was building a statue, and another was renaming the school after Dr. Du Bois. So those projects came after the 150th birthday celebration. To rename the school, our challenge from the town committee of Great Barrington and also the school districts were that we had to get a majority vote in the 3 towns, West Stockbridge, and Great Barrington. So we set on an organizing campaign that lasted 2 years of getting constituents educated around Du Bois's legacy and his work. And we had town votes at each of the annual meetings, of which we were successful in all of them. Some of them had more challenging conversations than others, but we did bridge work and race dialogues throughout the communities. And in the end, we were able to get majority vote to rename the school. So that was a huge milestone for Bridge and for all of the community members and all of the constituents that helped us do that. And the next one is the statue that's going up any moment in Great Barrington. That's the next project, and we have had many partners step forward and another group step forward for the organizing, and Bridge is the supporting group, and I'm on that committee, and we're really proud to be supporting that work. And this is a major part of Bridge. This legacy work that I see as reparations work is really important. We've also supported the legacy of Elizabeth Freeman, Mumbet. First, we worked with our in-school program, and we made a mosaic. So there's a beautiful mosaic of Elizabeth Freeman, also known as Mumbet, in the atrium of the elementary school that our Bridge kids put together, and it's quite beautiful. And that was presented at the Trustees of Reservation, where she was enslaved. And then last year, we were able to be on the committee and serve by organizing youth to have an essay contest about Elizabeth Freeman and to erect a statue of her in Sheffield, Massachusetts. So these projects give me a lot of life. They take a lot of work, a lot of organizing, a lot of teaching, and a lot of patience, but they mean something because we know that they're representative so much for our Berkshire community. Another milestone is the invitation to support Jeff Peck, who's the great-grandson of Dr. W.B. Du Bois, in the memorial service for his mother. Jeff Peck called me when his mother passed away and asked if I would run the memorial service for her. He was really moved by the work we had done for the 150th and that we'd continue to do annually. He participates every year. And his mother was moved, Du Bois Williams. She had decided to cremate herself. And over the last 2 years of her life, seeing what Great Barrington had done in the reparation around the land and around celebrating Dr. Du Bois, she had decided that she wanted to be buried back home in Great Barrington at the Du Bois graveyard. And so Jeff called me to ask to help execute on that. And I had never done a funeral before, and I was incredibly honored. And Dr. Du Bois became real to me. He wasn't a historical figure, and I wasn't just his namesake in a scholarship application, but I also got to talk to his family. I got to talk to Du Bois Williams' childhood friends that knew him as Grumpy Grandpa. So that was a big milestone, and I spent a good 4 months really deep in the family of Dr. W.B. Du Bois, and we were able to throw this beautiful memorial service where people came from all over the country, from NAACPs all over the country, and relatives all over the country to say goodbye to Du Bois Williams. So that was a huge milestone for me.
The way Bridge has been a catalyst in the community is that anytime there has been a need within the community, anytime there has been a conversation that needed to be had, we have been there, we've been at the table, and we have worked towards that change. And we have seen a significant amount of change across all different sectors within the Berkshires, and even without the Berkshires, like outside of the Berkshires. We've done work all over Massachusetts. We've done work even in as far away as like California, which has been really amazing. And everywhere I go, even outside of my role at Bridge, I hear from all of these other community leaders how important the work Bridge has done and how much of a model the work we do is, and how much that is used in the community to make this community a better place, a place that feels more welcoming to people of all varying races, ethnicities, social classes, gender identities, all different types of people. This community is made better because we are here.
Bridge is heart work. It's about our common collective humanity. I invite you all in. I invite you all to be brave. I want to say thank you to whoever's listening to me right now for being here, for supporting Bridge, for being a part of our community. I'm deeply grateful and I'm deeply honored. And that's it. And there be no more sickness out there.